Hey everybody, Reef Girl here. Since I haven't done an update for quite a while, I thought it might be time for an update on this tank, my SPS LPS 20 gallon with a 15 gallon sump. So let's go. So let's start by looking at the long tentacle plate coral. This thing is huge. There is now a second head forming at the back, and this thing is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm really concerned that one of these days I'm going to come and look at it and it's going to be gone, because these things are known to detach themselves and go walk about in the tank. This coral was fighting with my torch coral, which you can see they're still looking like they're trying to taunt each other, but I've moved them far enough apart now that I'm seriously hoping that it's not going to happen again. This is a great reason to get a new tank. The torch coral is doing very well. It's gone from 1 head to 5 heads. Tentacles aren't super long, but that's okay. Up here I have a small chalice that was a freebie as part of an order of some zoos, and it has really changed a lot since I put it in here. Those bumps on the top have gotten bigger, and in some lights they're bright yellow. The front edge of the piece, of the cut piece, was bright white when I got it, and now it seems like the tissue is starting to grow over the front edge, so that's good. And my acan here is really doing well. It started out as 2.5 polyps from fragging. I guess one of the polyps was cut, and now I don't even know how many there are. It has quite a few, and they're absolutely thriving. They eat well, and they open up, and lots of tentacles, and they look very, very good. And this is kind of an experiment, because over here I have another one that's almost identical, except that it's in shade. It doesn't get any direct light. The polyps, as you can see, are larger. There are not as many of them. Color's not as bright, but that's probably because it's not in the light. But it's doing very, very well. So this tells me, this teaches me that I don't need to blast my coral with light for them to do well and grow. So I'm really pleased about that. Have to take that into consideration next tank so that I put them in the right spots. The hammer coral is doing really well. It's getting better and better every day. It opens up every day much more reliably than it used to. This section down here seems to be bothered by something. I think there might be a bristleworm living in there, or perhaps one of those fermented snails that casts its web of mucus and irritates it. So I'll have to keep an eye on that and see if I can make sure it's okay. Now the bubble coral, I'm so glad I decided to take some extra special care with it, because it's very healthy. Doesn't grow super fast. Some days it opens up really, really big. It's looking pretty good today, actually. Other days it doesn't open much, but I feed it regularly and it really seems to be holding its own. The cherry blastomusa is really expanding. There are 5 polyps on here now, and they're getting bigger and bigger. The only thing is the color isn't the magenta that it was when I originally got it. But I can't complain, because I do like this brilliant sort of peachy coral color, and it's a nice bright pop in the tank. Back here we have the war coral. It's the lavender and burgundy morph with the green eyes, and it looks to me like it's starting to spread out on the sand. The Duncans are doing really, really great. The tentacles wave in the water. It opens up fully every day. It's just wonderful. One thing I have noticed, though, is that there are some bumps on some of the tentacles. I don't know what this is. I haven't been able to find out anything about it, but if anybody knows what this is, or if it's something I should be concerned about, maybe you could let me know in the comments, because if it's sick, I would like to be able to take care of it and get it better. This forest fire digitata is really not doing well. It seems to be bleaching. Some days the polyps come out, some days they don't. I don't know whether it's a parameter issue or whether the snails and the crabs bother it too much. I really don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that and see if I can figure it out, because I wouldn't want to lose it. It's a pretty nice coral, meant to be an easy coral to look after. Over here at the back we have the Bengal torch, and the color on this thing is really starting to show up. For a long time it was just kind of a steel gray, and now finally the tentacles are starting to come out a little bit more, get a little bit longer, and the color is really showing. I'm so looking forward to getting this into a better spot in the new tank where perhaps it can get better light. It has 3 heads now. It started with 1, so doing very, very well. The candy cane is also doing really well. I just can't believe how big those polyps are. It amazes me because once again, it's another coral that's in almost complete shade. It gets little or no direct light, and yet it looks really good. Over here is the golden heart frog spawn, and it has about doubled in size since I put it in here. I'm just amazed every day. The color doesn't look quite as intense in the filming as it does in real life. It's a more orangey yellow and kind of a purpley color on the end of the tentacles. Really, really pretty. And back there is one of 2 frags of the turbinaria. I had to take this apart because it had STN. There was brown, dry sort of tissue encroaching on the good tissue, and I thought the only way to save it was to take it apart. So I took it off the frag plug and I cut it into 2 pieces, and these 2 pieces are now both getting good green polyps and purple skin, which is what it's supposed to have. Sorry I can't get a better shot of it, but it's kind of halfway back in the tank and really difficult to focus in on it. But that's another one that I'm hoping will take its proper shape and start to grow. And up here, the pillar of sticks. We've got the bird's nest corals, the emerald pasillapora. These bird's nests are growing so well. They're shading the other corals, and I've actually had to remove some branches to allow light to get down through. The purple stylophora especially has been quite heavily shaded by this bird's nest above it. So on the inside I've taken a few branches off so that it can get some light. It's doing well. It's encrusting on the back. Then up at the top here we have the red planet, which really is growing well. It's quite amazing to me. This acro was an ugly tan color with tan polyps. It had no distinguishing features. I kept it in here because I was hoping that it would come back, and it has, so I'm really happy about that. And again, the bird's nest, I've had to remove a few branches because of the shading of the acro below. So it's doing well. Over here we've got the Ponape bird's nest, which has about tripled in size since I put it in here. It was one that I thought was a goner when I was having all the alkalinity issues, but it's come back. At the back there is my fuzzy acro, and that thing has blue growing tips. They're really, really beautiful. I have some top-down footage later where you might be able to see that a little bit better. Right in front of that is the Burning Man. It's the one with the white tips. It's red polyps. Really, really pretty. And here's the Chartreuse Gani Astraea. It's really growing well. Its natural shape is a big ball. So once I get it in the new tank, in a little bit different lighting conditions, I'm hoping that it will start to grow and take on that shape. Those polyps are a lot bigger than they used to be. Down here we've got the Vortex Musa with tons of babies under the skirts. It's really, really spread. And of course the war coral, Favia, doing wonderfully well. We've got the Elegance. The Elegance is really, really doing well. I think the issues with too much light have been solved. I think it's still a little bit too wide open. I have a feeling that the oral disc should be a little more protected, but so far it seems to be hanging in there, and it really seems to have recovered from the issues that it was having a little while ago. Back in the corner here, let's take a look at the Space Invader Pectinia. This thing has gone crazy since I moved it from the front over to the side during the Coral Wars. It has its own neighborhood now, so it has no one to fight with. It has grown tremendously. The 2 mouths in the center have split into about 5, and in total it has around 11 little yellow mouths on it. The rest of them are up in the branches. I'm just blown away by how much the color has improved. It still doesn't look quite as green as it should, but eventually it will, I'm pretty sure. Here's the Lobo Philia. It was one of the players in the Coral Wars, one of the mean ones, and I believe that it's starting to split. It looks like it's getting two mouths in the center now, so that's really good. And then we have the button Skully. It is really pretty. It gets tentacles, it eats, it fluffs up during the day, it expands. It's just wonderful. It'll have pride of place, I think, in the new tank, and hopefully it'll get some babies. So here's another view of the acros on top of the pillar of sticks towards the back. I do have the top-down footage of them that I'll show you in a bit, and you'll really be able to see what this looks like. From the side, this tank looks really big. It's pretty amazing. So things are doing well. I really am surprised that it just seems like I've turned a corner since I got the alkalinity under control, and everything's starting to really come into its own. So thanks for coming along on the tour and update of the 20-gallon SPS LPS tank. I can't believe this tank started cycling March the 21st of 2016. Back then, it was just bare rock and diatoms. And now, in under a year later, we've come to this. I've had good luck defeating brown acro syndrome. I've had to deal with horrible alkalinity issues that killed some of my critters, and ick in the tank killed my fish that I absolutely loved, but we've got through it, and here we are today. Looking forward to a new tank build so all of these guys can continue to grow and no more coral wars, and so that's what we all have to look forward to. Thanks so much for watching.